Thank you very much. Our last speaker will be Michel Bosco, who is a strategic advisor with REA Group, so another type of industry, I would say, maybe the SME world. And he will represent the voice of SMEs with highly qualified skills. Mr. Bosco is also an adjunct professor at the French University of Côte d'Azur, and he holds a doctorate in aeronautics from French High School for Engineering and Aeronautics and Space. And he has 30 years of experience in the field of information technology, security, and aerospace and defense. So I will now pass you the word, please.
Thank you very much, Xavier. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation here. Yeah, the points that I could make relate to that remark that Timo Pazonen made about making the best use of the MFF budget dedicated to space and defense. For space, the programming is quite bulky and clear. For defense, even if we had pilot activities before, we have now a new program. One of the issues there is to avoid probably spreading that money too thin. I mean, the money is small if we think of global defense budgets around. So avoid spreading it too thin. At the same time, we are in the EU, and we know that if we focus on too few projects that address too few issues, we're going to let a number of member states unhappy on the side, and this is not something that we want. So one way to cope with that could be to invest more into matters that are transversal to all defense activities, and taking advantage of that synergy between space and defense, because they are now under the same roof in the Commission, to look for, to propose support to transversal activities that are transversal across defense matters, but also with space. How to do that, or what for? If we look at some of the major issues in these domains, in defense, we have this issue in Europe of a development and production capability which is too fragmented. In all capabilities, where the US have 2 or 3 models of plane or ships or whatever, we have 3 times, 5 times more. And that means that the industrial infrastructure that produces these capabilities is also much more fragmented. So we ought to resolve that one way or another, politically, but maybe also through the programs. In defense, at EU level, there is also an issue of trust, internal trust. I mean, you mentioned that earlier. For space, in defense, it's much worse if you want to look at it. It's normal, but it's a difficult situation. So it's very much at the heart of the role of the EU to improve that. It's not easy at all, but that's a way to fix ourselves an objective, or to help focusing our efforts. And then for space, in the context of that synergy between space and defense, a major issue, generally speaking, but even more at European level, is to make space a real contributor to the defense effort. And so for space, to take advantage of these new impetus on defense at European level and the funds that go along. So these are the objectives that I try to isolate, to highlight, and this leads me to three matters that we could invest more at EU level. An initiative to deal with the complexity of these objects, of these capabilities. This is common to space and to defense. Most of the things that are produced are very complex systems. And there is all industry and know-how that has developed, both in space and in defense, sometimes in both, but not always, that allows for industry to manufacture, to manage projects of that kind of complexity. And by maybe, well, certainly improving these processes and making them more standardized. So upstream to the production itself, to share more about the processes and the production know-how is something that could help, and in particular that would address, in a way, the fragmentation issue. After all, if there are many industrial infrastructure, but that they all proceed in a way which is standard with the others, that should increase interoperability of whatever is produced. So it would not eliminate the fragmentation, which in a way is good because that allows for redundancy and more industrial activity, but it would help in making our capabilities more, well, basically cheaper to produce. Another thing which will have a positive impact on both the contribution of space to defense and trust would be security across the line. I mean, the defense world knows how to handle security. The space world is learning. In the Commission, it started with Galileo. Before Galileo, security was barely mentioned in the technology or industrial context in the Commission. That was, let's say, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. ESA has moved in a bit later, but now ESA, as we've heard yesterday in particular, ESA is now investing quite a lot. Still, we are far away from, I think, developing at EU level. Some member states do it, but we are far away at EU level to develop security standards for space that are military grade. So maybe from the defense viewpoint, one could envisage to use part of this defense fund to bring the know-how at European level with people from all the countries working together, and not just nationally, at a military grade level. And that would benefit space, and that would benefit defense. And my last matter of interest, I think, is related to this getting the people working together. In space, there is a lot that has been achieved. That engineering force that the European Space Agency has constituted for over the years is quite unique. It is international. You go at a meeting in ESA, it's like in the Commission. You don't know the citizenship of the nationality of the guys at the table. In defense, you don't have that. I mean, there are agencies, there are organizations that work at bringing the people together, but you don't have an engineering capability that is nominally there to serve the public service. And where for security you have companies like REA that are bringing people from many nationalities at work at EU level and with the countries. Yeah, REA is a company where we manage, I think, well, several facility clearances, but also 17, clearances, personal clearances from 17 countries. And that allows the engineering force to work at EU level, but also sometimes specifically for one country or another. In defense, we don't have that today. In the US, they have one thing that is called the MITRE Corporation or MITRE Corporation, and that addresses defense, aviation, and a bit of space, but certainly defense and aviation. Maybe we could put some money into it and start building, maybe not to address all defense engineering issues, but at least those that are common to space and defense. Because this way we would fully fit under we would really contribute to the synergy between the two domains and remain within that budget that is limited, even if we hope that the recovery fund will add a bit on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very rich and very deep proposals and thinking. So I thank you. I take from your different presentations, the word of synergy, maybe the idea of optimizing things. And the last presentation, you finally mentioned optimization of investments and resources. All this, it's a question of organization. So I would like to go back to our speakers with some questions maybe to deepen it, and maybe